Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to episode 23 of In the Red Corner, Melbourne's home of UFC, Liverpool and Man Utd chat. Joining me, as ever, to wade through this week's events, the captain, Mr. Grant Winstanley. How are we, sir?
Fantastic, mate. What a week of sport we have, and we're only, halfway through?
What day is it? Wednesday, yeah.
Hump day.
Yeah, we're smashing through it. What a week, what a week.
How are you, mate?
Yep, sweet. Looking forward to some good Melbourne weather over the next couple of days. It's actually, I'll take that back. We're supposed to be watching the McGregor fight Sunday afternoon. It's 36 degrees in Melbourne.
36.
36 degrees.
Well,
we're going to be sat in the Wick, the darkest pub in the Southern Hemisphere.
Yeah, probably where COVID started. But then at least we can have a dip in the sea afterwards, maybe.
Yeah, there's upsides to it, isn't there? There is upsides to it.
Fantastic.
Hit me up. It's your turn on the opening question.
It is indeed. And we'll get into the football side of things. Now, before the season, there was a lot of talk on Chelsea, Liverpool, of course, Manchester City, and then there was a bit of Spurs early on in the season. There was, Man United more recently. But what I want to know from yourself, Matt, I look at the league table, and it's Leicester City on top. Has the world been sleeping on Leicester City? What do you think about Leicester? How's their season going?
It's a bit of a mad one because they started well and then dropped off, and now because everyone else seemingly doesn't want to win this league, they've emerged again. And I don't know if people are sleeping on them, but I do think they've got a really solid setup, haven't they? Which is again where you're handily placed, and I think that's what's key for everyone now. Liverpool, United, where City are coming, they're in a good reign of form. It's about being handily placed for this run-in because Liverpool's still got to go to Spurs, still got to go to City. Who've you still got? Still probably got. We've probably got to play everyone again, haven't we? At least we're only about halfway through.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's points to be, to be lost there. I don't think Leicester will win the league.
Yeah, top four.
Yeah, quite possibly. I still think Liverpool and City are your front runners.
Yeah,
especially looking at City's form at the minute. They just seem to be putting those wins together, just getting themselves over the line.
Yeah, and with a game in hand that you more or less can have a guess that they're probably going to be top of the league.
For everyone else, we need to hold everyone out of steam at some point.
Yeah.
And for Liverpool United, you've been doing pretty well, but we've got to start picking up points again. We've got to turn our form around, and I think Leicester will just be looking around at everyone else and just going to keep picking up wins and see where they end up. If it gets to the start of April and they're still in the mix, then they'll start looking at each other and be, can we make a bit of a run at this?
The way they play, the manager they've got, would you say they're more likely than Chelsea at this moment in time?
Yeah, I think the manager's a big one. Obviously, this morning's result,
2-0.
I think a lot of people are starting to say, and we've mentioned it a little bit over the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, that it's maybe a job kind of too soon for Lampard. It's a big job very early in his career, and he has brought a lot of these young lads in, but it's whether he can. The form's not consistent, is it? You can see something's there, but I'm not sure that it's. I just don't think he's ready for it. And I think Leicester are in a better position than them.
Yeah.
I just think it's just more of a stable setup, isn't it? They know what they're about. They know how they want to play. And I'm not sure that Chelsea do. Yeah. They haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, not figured out the best team,
figured
on the
day they can be great, can't they? Because they've got those good players around and it might click and work. But if you're Lampard and you're swapping and changing formations like horses for courses through you playing that week, I just don't think they're ready to do that yet. They haven't got the kind of system down pat. Whereas I think, sides like Leicester, which has been a fairly stable kind of first 11 with a few nice additions over the last season, so are in a better rhythm and can be a bit more consistent. I don't think it's enough to win a league, but of all seasons to do it. They've done it before. They've been handily placed before. Where What year did they win it? 16.
2016, 16. I think.
When nobody else wanted to win the bloody thing. It's a similar situation now, and they could well find themselves in that running come April. I don't know, all power to them. I don't think so, but the longer Liverpool keep dropping points.
Rodgers have come close before, as you will remember.
He's experienced, isn't he? Like you say, he's been in a title running. Obviously, come up short, 13-14 for Liverpool. But he's been in that running, and he's an experienced guy. He's faced these teams before. He knows what it takes to be there and to coach it, especially like a younger side, to that level. So, to answer your question, yeah, I do. They've got to be counted in the running. They've got to be counted in the running at the minute. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're there or thereabouts, and I think Rodgers deserves more credit for what he's doing there. There's a real idea. There's a real project that he's building. And we was even off last week. We was discussing, if the Chelsea job came available, Rodgers' name would be there. And at this moment in time, it's at least sideways move.
Yeah.
And it could even be from what he's doing. It's kind of a downgrade the way he's going at the moment.
It feels like that. I think it's a job that Rodgers would love because again this is a load of young. Some of Europe's top young talent is there at the minute, and they do need they need a Rodgers almost if you look at it from that perspective now. They need to be nurtured a little bit and coached.
But I think the way that they run Leicester, they run very, very well.
Stable,
Chelsea,
isn't it?
Rodgers goes, I've got it good here.
Yeah.
They like me, put a lot of faith in me, plucked me out of when I was dominating with Celtic.
Yeah.
And he looks at Chelsea and he goes, Abramovich, time.
Yeah.
It
would be a risk. It's an ambitious risk, isn't it? Because you could go in there and you could build something, but that the moment that it goes tits up, you're out the door because someone else will be ready for it. At Leicester, he's got stability there. You don't see a team like Leicester where they've built steadily year on year on year. I don't think they're going to suddenly be league champions concurrent years, but I do think they'll be there or thereabouts at top four for the foreseeable future, especially if they can keep that side together, keep doing smart business, keep Rodgers in place. So I think it's for Rodgers, it's a safer bet, isn't it?
And I think Leicester, a lot of the neutral fans kind of have Leicester as a bit of the second team type of thing, and like the kind of the underdog story that they did a few years ago. But I put it down to, I was thinking about this morning, I cannot think of the last time I watched Leicester and was not entertained by the game.
Yeah,
every time they compete, it's attacking football. I've never watched a Leicester game that I can think of and gone, well, that was dross.
That's true. It's true. It's true, and I think that's part of
something to that. There's obviously something to that.
Yeah, there's no reason not to like them. Even when you're asking me now, they're gonna pip Liverpool to the league. I'm almost thinking about it. I'm like, no, it wouldn't be good to them a win. No, they're a likable side, aren't they? And entertaining. We'll see. It's whether they can pick up those points. At this point, it's against the other top four because I think they're doing well against everybody else. They're picking up the points where they should. They've taken points off Chelsea this morning. Can they come to Anfield? Can they face Liverpool and take points? Can they go to United and take points? Leicester, Man City, can they take points?
Speaking of dross, let's break down
that's the title for the show.
Derby that everybody talks about, and it's the best derby in football.
We built it up so much last week. What was your prediction? 2-1.
2-1.
I said 3-1.
Yeah. You can go first. Do you want to break down that lovely affair?
It wasn't dross, but it was close to dross. As close to dross as you can get without being dross.
Yeah.
I guess the conversation starts with the lineups, doesn't it? Were you happy with United's lineup? Were you happy? Because it's not what you were. You were expecting possibly Tellez to come in.
Yeah. Potentially Tellez. Although I think, I said Tellez. I mentioned Bailly.
Bailly, yeah, that was the other one. Yeah.
Pogba I didn't think may play, but he actually played. I was right saying Fred and McTominay would be in the middle of the park.
Yeah,
but
that one.
But Pogba actually did. He played wide. He tried to do a few things, get on the ball. But I was, and I think I say it every week. Cavani should start over Martial.
Yeah, especially in the lone lone striker up front.
Martial can't play that role.
No.
Rashford can't play that role. Cavani can. He's the only one in the...
He's built for that role, isn't he?
That's why we got him.
Yeah. Well, when he came on, I said to you, I was WhatsApping my dad, and I was like, oh no, this isn't good.
So,
but, him starting would have been dangerous.
Yeah. What about your lineup? Well, you mentioned you had a feeling Henderson would be at the back.
Yeah, I thought
you mentioned Shaqiri.
I pretty much called the lineup.
You did.
I wasn't sure. It was either going to be Shaqiri or the Ox. I was fairly happy with it. It's what I thought would happen. Yeah. I do think we missed Shaqiri off the bench. But he's the info. Klopp, I think, looked at it and was like, "It's probably best 11 players on the pitch. They're not necessarily where I want them. The two centre backs."
And we're rubbish at set pieces. So someone like Shaqiri has got a decent cross on him and delivery. Yeah. Maybe he's looking at that as well to get him on corners. And
he played well. Shaqiri he ran out of gas a bit, and that's why I think when he went off. Yeah. But he played well. He put himself about. He got an early booking, didn't he? Which wasn't helpful. But he put himself about, and it'd be interesting to see in the next couple of weeks now whether he keeps that place. Because even Curtis Jones, when I thought he might have got a start, but he came on. I thought he played really well. He caused problems as well. But from the outset, I was pleased. I was pleased with the lineup. I guess approach is the next one that's interesting. I think Liverpool, they dominate the ball, which we do a lot, and we do that anyway. I think United, first
half an hour.
Yeah. I mean, we dominate that possession. We just didn't do enough with it. The front three, which I guess is the big kind of sticking point for us at the minute, just weren't firing. A lot of criticism came to Firmino, didn't he? And he was frustrating, but at least he was putting himself in those positions. But he's just off, isn't he? And even Mane put himself about, does a lot of running, wants the ball, puts in 100% effort, but again, there was just no end product there. Same for Salah. Couldn't get himself into the game somehow. And I've said this before, I do think it links back to the fact that we don't have our first choice midfield because we don't have our first choice. All of the world's problems seem to come from the fact that we don't have those centre-backs.
Well, you've got your first choice midfield, they're just not playing in midfield.
Yeah, exactly. They're on the pitch, But I do think it has a bigger effect than we probably give it credit for, and that does affect the front three. Yeah. It's just they're not receiving the same balls, they haven't got the same tempo, they haven't got the same protection. It's I think because Trent is aware of his defensive duties now, Salah's not getting the same service, the same kind of deliveries. Maybe he's doing after doing a bit more running, covering a bit more ground, and he's tracking back a little bit more, and it just affects the system as a whole. And the good enough players, it is what it is. That this is what we're going to have to deal with for the next little while until we get Van Dijk and or Gomez back, because we know we can't rely on Matip to be fit week in, week out. And we have to manage that. So eventually, every so often we'll get a Matip, Hopefully we get him for maybe a Spurs game or we get him for the City game. But generally, I think we have to accept now that centre-back pairing is going to be Fabinho and Henderson for probably 2 out of 3 games. Every so often you'll get a Matip in there. So it's about, I think the midfield is where we have to, it's the engine, it's where we're going to win or lose these games. And who he plays, I think, is going to depend on our opposition. Thiago is going to be a staple if he can stay fit, I think. Again, Wijnaldum is our engine. And I thought he played quite well as well. It's the third position, which is going to, it's a race between Shaqiri, it's Curtis Jones, Milner drops in there. And then I think, looking ahead, the one thing I think we missed, and I was disappointed he maybe didn't get his chance, was Minamino. When Firmino's so off it at the minute. He's having some nice touches and stuff, but he's in front of goal. Woeful, I think, is the only word I can use to describe it.
I took him out fancy football team this week.
Did you? Yeah, I've had Mane in for a couple of weeks, and it's one of those where you don't want to take him out, things like that, because I guarantee he'll start scoring.
Well, you got the Burnley game on Friday.
Yeah.
So was you happy with the point then? After watching the game transpire, was you happy with the point?
I wouldn't have taken it before the game. I think looking how the game played out, it's not a bad point. It keeps us thereabouts. And again, after the game, you could have won that game. If it wasn't for some good saves from the keeper. Despite us, I think, dominating possession for the majority of the game, I think you had the best chances by far. But But having said that, I don't want to be critical about it. I thought Fabinho and Henderson actually played really well.
Yeah. I think our back four played well.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. I think you can answer this, but I think my criticism of United from that game, and I know Carragher and Neville had a bit of a do on this on Monday Night Football, was I probably agreed with Carragher in the sense that I think United should have gone for it a bit more.
Yeah.
They obviously set the stall out to be sit back, let us have the ball, catch on the break, which worked when you did it. And maybe it should have been a Cavani start, but I think you could have gambled, couldn't you? And do you think you could have gone for it?
Yeah, I think we could have. But I also agree with Neville. Your front three wasn't firing, but it's still your front three, and I feel as though, if you do commit, then Salah could easily just run through, or Mane could run through, and suddenly we've lost the game and go. Do
you mean when we run through just before half time? Well, the ref blew the whistle.
Yeah,
it's good down it.
I know. Yeah, I know.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
I can't believe it.
I know, but
a couple of seconds left to play, clean through. Time, boys.
But I was the opposite to you in regards to the point thing. So I obviously would have took a point before the game, and on reflection, I think it's a massive opportunity wasted. I'm not happy with the point. Rashford on the 81st minute not putting Cavani through was criminal.
Yeah,
was criminal. He's not had Rashford's not had a good game for a while, and I can't believe he didn't put him through. I know there was still a bit to do, but we played Everton earlier on in the season. Bruno was on 2 goals.
Yeah.
Last minute, we'd won the game, but he took the defender. Cavani chasing for his first goal. Bruno could have easily gone on his own and shot.
Yeah,
and he slipped it through to Cavani, and Cavani scored. Yeah. And the game was already won. So in these high pressure stakes, when there was more or less 2 defenders, Rashford was pulling away.
Yeah.
Slide Cavani in, and he would have. I'm not saying he would. Similar to the Mane thing through, I have more confident than anyone of Martial, Rashford, Greenwood.
They take the chances, don't they? Which is what Liverpool aren't doing at the minute. If it wasn't for 2 good saves from our keeper, you could have won that 2-0.
Well, they were good saves, but I would actually put them down to bad misses more than the Pogba one and the Bruno one. Alisson, good, but it's kind of straight at him. He's not kind of had to go much further.
The first one was a good reaction. Yeah. I mean, it was straight at him, but to get his hands up and make sure he didn't just bobble back into the box.
Yeah. But there's just no composure. Pogba just blasted it right at him.
Yeah.
Pick a corner, mate. Come on.
I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah, I know. But so huge opportunity wasted for me. But like I say, I can't be too critical because I would have took the point.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
It's similar to when we played Leicester around the Christmas period.
Yeah.
I would have took a point at Leicester before the game.
And then in hindsight,
we could have won the game. And then we got in front, and then with 5 minutes to go, we let him in.
Mm.
And it's a draw.
Yeah. But I think that seems to be Solskjaer's mentality as well.
It's that game management that we've been talking about.
He's happy to take that. He's happy to take the draw, and he didn't. He could have smelled blood in the water, and a different manager. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but a different manager might have been like, "It's not Liverpool's day here. We should throw the kitchen sink at this." And yes, you run the risk of that front, getting caught on that front three. They're good enough that even if they're having a bad day, would still capitalise on it. But
there's never been a better time to beat you.
But
at Anfield, low on confidence.
I think that's what Carragher was saying.
Best 2 midfielders at the back.
Yeah,
we've got the squad. We've got players that could hurt you. Donny van de Beek.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure he's going to have to go out on loan him in here. Something. I don't know what he's doing. Feel sorry for him.
I know. He may as well, like what they're doing here on trams when they're wiping down trams and they've got the high vis on. He may as well just do that around Manchester.
Yeah, go and wipe the stop signs and the.
Am I getting any hours this week? I'm
job keeper.
I'll just wipe down trams in Manchester then for COVID. So I think it's an opportunity wasted. Looking at the lineup, looking at the way the game transpired.
Yeah.
So,
what do you think now? So your next games, you've got one tomorrow morning playing Fulham, which you would think should be a shoe-in for a win.
Yeah. Although the last couple of games, Fulham have, against Spurs,
turn around a little bit
against Chelsea.
Yeah.
I think they only got beat to Chelsea because they were down to 10 men. stupid tackle.
Yeah. But again, if you...
I like it. We're away from... Yeah.
What we're at now is, you're asking yourself if you're harbouring these title ambitions, Liverpool as well. Yeah. You've got to start picking up points now. Yeah. For Liverpool, especially, the reason I asked you is because we've got a really crucial run of between now and the first week in Feb.
Yeah.
We've got Burnley Friday morning here, so it must be Thursday night in the UK, which, again, on paper, should be winning that. Yeah. In fact, no, we have to win that game. Yeah. We have to win that game. But they won't make it easy. They're going to, what we were saying before, they're going to park the bus and they're going to be quite happy just to let us come at them and they'll just see what they can get out of the game. Yeah.
The longer it goes on, if you don't get that early goal.
And that's the thing with our mentality at the minute. I think we are getting to 60 minutes and everyone's looking at each other being like, fuck, it's happening again. Yeah. We're not going to score here. Yeah. And that's where, I don't know where the clock needs to make these, Minamino needs to start. It's why we're missing Jota a lot because there isn't that change in the front three that can make a tangible change. And I think that's what we're really missing.
Would you take having Jota back over Van Dijk at the moment?
Yeah. I think I would. Because our problem we're not leaking goals.
Yeah, I know.
I know it's having a knock-on. I'm kind of contradicting myself because I'm saying we're having a knock-on effect. But Matip and Fabinho and Henderson did a good job generally.
Yeah, they did.
The front three aren't doing their job. I think they need something different up there. I think we're missing Jota almost more than we're missing those centre-backs at the minute, just in terms of pure output. Yeah. But I think Minamino might be the answer there. I know he's not lit the world on fire for Liverpool so far, but I think something's got to change. You need fresh legs, fresh ideas, fresh movement, something.
Yeah.
So we've got Burnley, and then in the next couple of games, West Ham, Spurs, City. I think there's a Brighton thrown in there somewhere. But before that first week in Feb, up to that run of City, huge games for us there because you drop points in those games, you suddenly find yourself with a potentially uncatchable lead. And I know it's only at the start of Feb, but I just don't think a lot of people are going to... It's going to get to that crucial period now where City aren't going to start... They're not going to drop points. They're not going to drop as many points.
And obviously, Manchester United and Liverpool play again on Monday in the FA Cup.
Yeah, Christ, I keep forgetting about this.
So my question to you is, if you can only win one game against Burnley in the league or Manchester United in the FA Cup...
Oh, Christ.
What are you having?
I think you've got...
One of them has to beat you, basically. If one of them has to beat you...
Oh, I don't know. Can I have neither? I think we have to focus on the league, don't we?
Yeah, okay.
I think that's bigger. I don't want to get to the end of the season. We end up... The best thing that's happened is an FA Cup run. I don't think it's enough. I think we need... I want to see us at least go down to the wire for this league. It's a weird season.
Yeah.
We've got to at least go to the wire for it. I want us to go all the way and be in the mix there, start of May. I don't want us to drop off the pace and it be done by March. I think it'll just be such a waste of it feels like a waste of a season, waste of an opportunity. Because again, don't forget, Liverpool haven't had that moment where we probably won't get it this year either. But where you get to lift the trophy parade, with the fans, the parade. I haven't had any of that, and I feel like it's just going to go under the radar a little bit. That's why I really want us to win this one again to back it up. But it's hard to do. We know it's hard to do to win back-to-back leagues. You've got a bit more of a favourable run.
Yeah, well,
next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've got Fulham.
Got Sheffield United. But
Arsenal
are in there, and they're turning a corner.
Yeah,
be a good game actually.
Yeah,
they're turning a corner.
Yeah, maybe a Southampton.
Southampton are in there as well. Yeah, who again? Tough opposition. So you get to the back end of the season now, and there's no easy games, and that's where it's going to get interesting. I think, especially at the top. I think you're going to see these teams you're going to look at the league in a couple of weeks and be like, "What bloody hell's going on here?" Yeah. City have appeared from nowhere. Leicester might still be in the mix. The Liverpool and United.
Villa's 4 games behind. on the league table, and they get up to
again. You'll wake up one morning and check the league table and be like, "Where the bloody hell did Villa come?" I know. And I think that's you. As Liverpool and United fans, I just don't think we can afford to drop any points.
No.
Liverpool have got to start picking up points. 4 games without a win now is... I don't even know if that's happened at all in Klopp's reign. Mad. So, yeah, crucial month, I guess, 4-week period for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Similar for United. You've just got to keep pace. Got to keep pace.
Well, I'm sure if Klopp's struggling and you sack him, I'm sure Hassan Hüttl will take it.
Oh, he would. He'd bloody
he'll
love
fit
that,
right
wouldn't he?
in with his cap and his Klopp 2.0 will fit straight in. Yeah.
Right. Well, okay. We'll segue on.
Yeah.
So we had our first UFC card of the Fight Island kind of triple header last weekend. Sunday morning, nice and early for us here in Melbourne. 3:30 start. I didn't get up at 3:30, did you?
No.
Bit later. I was like
more like 3:30 p.m.
I did get up early. I did a 6 a.m. start to watch some prelims. The prelims actually weren't amazing. I thought they were going to be better than they were. We built up a few of the fights there.
Yeah.
The one I will highlight from the prelims was the Justin Taffer and Carlos Felipe fight. Yeah. It's actually funny because we were like, it's either going to be a straight knockout or a ball fest, and it was actually neither of those.
It went the distance, and it was actually
and it was class.
Yeah.
The best bit was that kind of the last minute of the round where they just put the heads together, and just started rock'em sock'em robots.
I know.
It was unreal, and I thought Dana played it down. I thought they would have got a bonus. I know there was some good fights, but I thought they might. Dana kind of dismissed it a little bit. I didn't even really talk about it.
I think he was looking. Don't know why. I think he was looking at his budget because there was so many people. Probably
there was a few, wasn't there?
Deserved a bonus. He was like, "Whoa."
I thought they deserved a bonus. It's not often you see heavyweights do that for over 3 rounds, and kept going.
Did you thought it was the rightful winner?
No, I thought Taffer won.
I did.
To be honest with you, I was surprised. It's one of those fights where neither of them loses really because it doesn't matter very much. Obviously, you get the win on your record or whatever. But I think the matchmakers will look at that and be like, they both deserve. It could have gone either way. They both deserve a good fight next. Yeah. It'll do them both a world of good. And now for anyone who's got up and watched that prelims, you're going to want to tune into next time they fight because you're like, oh, they're going to throw down. Yeah. I think Taffer's looked progressively better every time I've watched him. So again, for him, it's just putting himself in that shot window for when there's a Australia-New Zealand card, which must be at some point this year. With COVID restrictions and stuff, we seem the more likely we would get an event here than a lot of other places in the world. So if you're an Anzac fighter now, put yourself in that shot window, make yourself, him and Taito Avasa would be ridiculously good, wouldn't it? Or something like that. Yeah. So, but aside from that on the prelims, not a lot went down. We were mentioning before the what would have been the main event of the prelims, the Phil Horst fight, dropped off for some mysterious reason. Yeah. I didn't even realise as it was going on. I completely forgot that it was supposed to be there until it wasn't. Yeah. But the main card was awesome. The UFC set up this main card knowing it was going to be live on ABC, and it delivered. It delivered. If you were your average Joe sat at home, decided to tune in because it was on the TV, you would have to go some way now not to be like, I'm going to tune in next time this is available. I'll buy a pay-per-view because it was unreal. It kicked off with the Soriano and Todorovic fight, which is one we did highlight because they both had undefeated records. Didn't know a lot about either of them. No. But we knew it was going to be a good fight just looking at those records and their I guess the back catalogue of fights of who they compete against. It was quite one-sided though. And I was very surprised. I thought we might get a bit of a back and forth war. Yeah. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I was I was annoyed because I did a main card coupon buster, and always remember, gamble responsibly. If you want to join a community of great experts, not myself, get your tips out for Larry and the guys. Always gamble responsibly and never bet your bus fare. But the reason I was annoyed is because I picked him to win Todorovic, and I only did a main card ACCA, so first fight, obviously.
Back to bed.
Always coupon busts.
Yeah.
So I was annoyed. So what I think of it, so I'll never back him again. But Todorovic, I thought was a bit of deer caught in the headlights.
Massively.
As if the occasion got a bit better of him. I think he took a couple of early shots and realised this guy could throw them. Yep. And was a bit like, whoa. And he looked a bit like Stefan Struve, a mini Stefan Struve that's like the current Stefan Struve, where you go, mate, just give it up, mate. Well, I think he won recently, Struve. But anyway, I was just a bit, underwhelmed by him. It
was a weird one, wasn't it? Because I think the deer in the headlights is a good analogy because he got cracked very, very early. What didn't go long? It was the first round, wasn't it?
Yeah, first round.
He got cracked very early and he never recovered, but he managed to stay in the fight longer than I thought he would. after the first crack he took, his legs had gone, and he was kind of he was kind of managing to move from fence to fence.
Yeah.
But like jelly leg dancing across, getting onto the next fence, cracked again, and he was able to stay on his feet. You know, and he went down the first time, got himself into a full guard position, and I was like, okay, he's all right. But when he got back to his feet, his legs had gone. Yeah. He never recovered, did he? And it could have, I thought it might have been stopped a bit earlier than it was, to be honest with you. Yeah. But I think because it was almost like his head was hurt, his legs weren't. Yeah. So he was able to kind of defend, but couldn't move. Correct? Yeah, like kind of an autopilot survival mode. And it was a good stoppage in the end. But I wouldn't have been surprised if they stopped it early, and I wouldn't have begrudged it because it was like he had two halves of his body. One was reacting, one wasn't. Yeah. Legs gone, head all right. But yeah, Soriano looked good. Obviously, for that division now, he's got power in his hands. It'll be interesting to see where they match him up next. Next one up was probably the biggest shock on the card, I would say. You know, we were talking last week about the people who stand out on these cards, and Joaquin Buckley had come to Fight Island last time, been to Vegas and backed it up with two amazing knockouts. I think everyone here was just we thought it was a bit of a shoe, and he was fighting some guy who'd lost. He'd lost the last three fights by decision, so we knew he was going to be tough, but wasn't expecting much from him. And then wham, first round again, head kick knockout. Ironically, it was a bit of a weird knockout. You know, he was like a shin to forehead knockout, wasn't it? But yeah, he folded Joaquin Buckley. That's all she wrote. Done. Were you surprised? I
Very
didn't
surprised.
see that.
Out-trained.
You wouldn't have had that on your coupon, I'm guessing.
No, booklet.
Yeah, of course.
So
0-2.
I got about three out of 5 wrong. So
there was a few upsets, wasn't there? But
what I want to know is what's in the water at the Trevi Fountain, because you've got guys like De Chirico now, Marvin Vittori in Italy.
Well,
Emergence of these Italian stallions.
Yeah, but do you think it's an emergence of this De Chirico? We didn't see enough of him, did we? No. I don't know. He might have just been a perfect shot.
Yeah, it was, and they summed it up well in the post-fight press conference. It's ironic that it was a head kick. Yeah. It was kind of a freak, not so much a freak shot, but Joaquin Buckley's kind of received the same freak thing. You know,
I know it was a good shot, but I think Joaquin Buckley was probably overconfident going in there. Yeah. I think he thought it was just a shoe, and he was just going to go in and spark this guy and go home.
The most entertaining was did you hear what Dana was saying in the press conference?
That, wasn't it?
About him. So he refused to do an interview. Yeah. So I watched his interview, and he refused to do an interview halfway through because he said, "Why aren't you talking to the loser? This game is all about like both fighters," which kind of has a nice message. But I'm like, mate, he's just been chinned. Like that's why they don't do that. That's why they don't think of the losers, because they're like,
yeah.
Like, it's just.
No. It was a weird. Him and his team, the whole team, were a bit
so
strange.
I think that rubbed up Dana the wrong way. So
he won't be getting another big fight anytime soon.
I reckon he'll be on prelims for the next one.
Chopping block.
He'll be on prelims for the next one. We'll be on
Yeah. Well, yeah, they won't. I don't think he's got anything. No, he's not showed enough to build anything from it.
Spitting dummy out when you win.
Weird. Yeah, weird. Dangerous doesn't have any time for that.
No.
Ponzinibbio and Li Jianlang. Ponzinibbio, we said last week, weren't sure about him. Yeah. Been out for a long time, still not sure. He was very standoffish, wasn't he? He was very cautious. Didn't engage for a lot of the first round. And I think Lee just it was a great knockout punch, wasn't it? And
Another first round.
It was a great combination which he set up, and I think he'd been working that setup throughout the first round. Ponzinibbio just didn't engage, and I think Lee just took his chance. Lee looked good, and I think more than anything it speaks to something we'll touch on later, but with the Neil Magny took him 5 rounds and took a decision. It speaks a lot for Magny, because that Lee's obviously got power in those hands, and I think the biggest takeaway from it is that it's great for the UFC. I think Dana will be rubbing his hands with that. Yeah. He's looking to build this China card, doesn't he? He needs some decent Chinese, Asian market stars. And I think you've got another one there that you can at least now justify being on a main card event against, top 5, top 10 opponent in that division. For Ponzinibbio, I just don't think we saw enough from him. He needs to go back and probably fight a much lower ranked person and see where he's about, because I think he was very, a little overawed by the occasion.
Yeah, and I think he needs to turn it around soon as well.
Yeah.
So if there's another Fight Island soon, like mid-year, he should be
got to get time back in there.
Yeah, because you've been out for so long. Yeah. The worst thing you can do is
Some people it doesn't affect, does it? But I think just looking at just how he was in the first round, it did affect him. Yeah. He didn't engage, and I don't think Lee's that dangerous of an opponent. I think Ponzinibbio would have, he was the guy in that division 2 years ago, and we did say the division has moved on, and it's interesting to see where it's left him, and I think it's left him behind a little bit. Yeah. If it's not, he needs to come out and show us that, because that's what it looked like to me. Yeah. Condit and Brown was our co-main. Brilliant fight. We said it last week. I like watching the veterans fight. It's not for anything, doesn't really mean anything. It's just two guys who want to go out and compete, and that's exactly what we got. I thought it was a bit of a harsh decision, the 30-27.
Oh, that was ridiculous.
Even Condit's face was a bit like 30-27.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Anyone, you don't have to follow the UFC. If you watched those 15 minutes, well, maybe not. The other two not so much. But if you pulled any average Joe off the street, watch round one. Who won this fight? Yeah. I'll go for the guy that's been sitting on the other guy for close to 4 minutes.
And Condit said the same thing, didn't he? He was surprised because he
was on top for about 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
How can you not give that first round to Matt Brown?
Yeah, mad. I thought Condit deserved a win for sure. Yeah, for sure. Did more, and I think Matt Brown gasped probably in the third. He was very, very tired. Didn't have much left to give, did he? But I thought Condit looked good. Dangerous striker. Just probably didn't have that power to take him out, really. But I think Brown just made it difficult for him, didn't he?
It's exactly how I thought the fight would be.
Yeah.
Exactly how it.
And it was good because again, if you're watching the main card on ABC and you're not as involved in the sport, you don't know who these guys are. It's a great fight to watch, isn't it? Because it's back and forth, it's evenly matched. Yeah. You've got two guys putting the heart on the line there. Yeah. It's brilliant, and I hope we see more of these style matchups now. Yeah. These veterans just coming back who aren't calling for title shots, and they're not harbouring ambitions of anything like that. They just want to compete, and there's an audience for that. Yeah. I'll watch that.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. There's that, and we said it quite often. There's a core group of guys, and there's a core group of fighters that fight at the UFC that will never touch gold again.
No. They've been close. They might have been there before.
Yeah. They may have never touched gold. They may have touched gold. They may never have gold. But you always tune in, regardless.
For sure.
If it's it doesn't have to be for a belt. They don't need the belt because they bring it every time.
No, and they're going to call out for fun and exciting fights, not title shot fights. They're not going to be calling out for who's in the top 5 or whatever. It's just like who's game, who's going to be interesting. Yeah. And then that leads us on to our main event, which was unbelievable.
It was all right, wasn't it?
All right, yeah, Jesus, it was unbelievable. It answered a lot of questions, didn't it? Because funnily enough, Calvin Kattar was, going in as a favourite. Max was the underdog, wasn't he? A lot of people had picked. A lot of people had thought that, it was Calvin's time. Max had his time. I wasn't sure. I can't remember what I said last week, to answer that. It's hard now in hindsight to think back to what I was thinking at the time.
We both said Holloway. Said Holloway, but
I thought Holloway would have more of the experience in there, and I think we said he'd just been in there with a higher caliber of opponent. Yeah. I don't think that really played a part in the fight the way it played out. It was just relentless pressure, skill, and output from Max Holloway from the word go. He is, he's known. There's a narrative now that he's a slow starter and he builds in the fight. I think Max coming into this fight a massive chip on his shoulder. Yeah. I think coming out from the last fight with Volkanovski.
Yeah.
Having, lost that fight controversially, I think he really wanted to prove something. Yeah. And I think he did, didn't he?
I did. And certainly on that boxing thing, when he was amped up saying, I'm the best boxer, and the whole, the Muhammad Ali kind of not even looking and dodging. It
makes me cringe when they do that, though. I was like, be careful.
I know.
Yeah, you got to be so careful.
I know.
Because if you bloody take a wrong shot... The thing
imagine if Kattar would imagine if he would have won the fight then. Yeah. When he's going, I'm the best. Can you imagine what Calvin Kattar has gone through and lands, and then he just goes boom and falls. Can you imagine?
So when he was doing it, I was cringing, but at the same time, Max just looked completely at ease, in control. It was a massive performance, and I think you've got to take your hat off to Cage. We stayed in there. I think one thing I was going to ask you about this because we haven't spoken about it was. Should it have been stopped?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
By the ref or by the corner?
So there's an argument to say that the ref could have stopped early. Let's say maybe at the end of round 3, quite possibly. However, at the end of 4, maximum, So you could argue he didn't even have to start the 4th round, but certainly by the end of the 4th, he should never have got off that stool.
You think his corner should have stopped it?
His corner should have shown more bottle and threw the towel in. Yeah. Because everybody could see Holloway, it's just one of those days where Holloway is on.
Yeah.
And
you can take unnecessary damage, can't you?
Yeah, and the reason why I thought this more and more is you can take unnecessary damage. Max Holloway all week and everything after it has been, don't do hard sparring. Why are you taking unnecessary damage? Why are you taking unnecessary damage? I'm fresh as. Yeah. And then that's the complete opposite. Pull your fighter out of the fight when clearly it's going the way it's going.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it was up to the ref to stop it, purely because I just don't think he could. No. I think Calvin was throwing.
Yeah. He was still in the fight.
He was in the fight. He was intelligently defending himself, getting pieced up, but he was still there mentally, physically. The ref couldn't stop it. No, I don't think there was no. There'd have been an uproar if he had, because there'd have been, by the rules and by what he says to the fighters in terms of I'll stop it if you're not intelligently defending yourself. He was ticking all those boxes. The corner, I think, probably should have stopped that at the end of the 4th. I just don't think. I think he came out for another round there and took a lot more unnecessary damage. Yeah, it's hard to watch, isn't it? You're just like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you're right what you say with the ref, because. And part of the reason why the ref probably didn't do it, not that this goes into his thinking, but if he stops the fight early, the shine gets taken away from Max a little bit, because it's as if now this episode we would be speaking saying, should have the ref have stopped it? Early stoppage, right. Was he a bit hasty? And the whole week, and then it kind of takes the shine, saying no.
You have the question of well, K2 was still in it. You never know.
Exactly. And then it's like, do we have a and it's like, no, similar to like a Diaz Masvidal, where it's like the doctor's stoppage, and you think Masvidal was on. Like,
we know what he's like. Yeah. We know that he comes stronger in the later rounds as well. And it always is that question of, what would have happened? You never know. Yeah. I think if the corner pulls you out, it's more of like,
we have conceded your own ally.
We're conceding. Yeah, we know that he's losing it. And then
that guy has forced us to go against our guy.
Yeah, and you can't say then we need a rematch because we think he'll beat him now. It's like, well, no, you pulled him out. We've got the better of you.
Any respectful coach would never take the rematch.
And you know what? The downside is for Kate. He's gonna want to try and rebound, isn't he? But he's gonna have to take time now. He's gonna need a good. He'll have a medical thing for like 3 months at least. It'll be 3 to 6 months before we see him again. Mm-hmm. And and that division's alive now. Like he will want to come back and keep himself in contention.
6 months, 6 months in that division is a long
time.
Exactly.
It's a long time. You find yourself way out of the reckoning, especially when we've got title fights coming up, and with Max's performance and Zabit to come back and fight, you find yourself, 2 or 3 fights away then from the potential title shot again, however it plays out. But Max looked incredible. To finish on this, what do you think's next for Max? Like, where does Max go now? Where do you see his future? Is my question.
Yeah, I think the UFC have messed up by, in hindsight, watching that performance. I think they've been a bit hasty with Ortega-Volkanovski, which is a little bit unfortunate because Ortega was just as impressive, not as impressive as Max.
In what way have they been? What way is unfortunate? What would you have done instead?
I think Ortega-Holloway 2 should have gone down
as a number 1 contender fight,
as a title eliminator.
But then what's Volkanovski doing? He's just sitting on this title free. He wants to fight, doesn't he?
Well, but he doesn't. He probably only fights once a year anyway, doesn't he?
I think he's probably more active than that. I think he wants to fight. I agree with you though. That would be incredible. The reason I asked because
I'm sure Cejudo. I'm sure if he was on,
could have done that.
Yeah.
You hold a divisional though. I know. I think there's enough people in the mix here now that I don't think you want to hold it up. Yeah. If Ortega beats Volkanovski, you get it again. If he doesn't, you get Volkanovski Holloway again. Yeah. There's 3 or 4 of them there. You probably are going to see that again. But it's a weird one because you look at Max, and I know how good Ortega looked, but you look at Max, that performance against that caliber of opponent. I just don't know if there's anything left for him in the 45 division. I just think he does the same thing to Brian Ortega again. I don't think it. Even though we've seen a massive improvement in Ortega, I don't think it goes much different. The only person in that division who's got Max's number for whatever reason is Volkanovski, and even that, there were 2 close fights. I would say that Volkanovski won the first one, but I do think since then Max has gone away and reassessed everything. Should have won that second one. I think Volkanovski's maybe his stature, his height, his ability to get in and out. He plays well with Max's range because he can be under the shots.
Yeah.
He can be in and out. I think he makes it a difficult fight for Holloway. But aside from that, there's nothing else interests me for Max. I think he just walks through everybody else. And I don't know how long that can continue before Max is bored. And I wonder if there's a future for him at 55. I just wonder if he's done that division now and you maybe need to let it go on, because I just think you're going to steamroll everyone. I wonder if 55, because the other thing he was talking about, big fights, legacy fights, what you're going to end up doing with someone like Holloway who's got this big appeal, you're going to lose him to boxing. If he's bored, if he's not getting the fights that he wants, if he's just steamrolling people. I don't think he's the type of person that's going to want to rock up 2 or 3 times a year, smash them to bits, and then do it again. I just don't think that's what he's about. You're going to lose him to a boxing fight because he's talking about the best boxer in the UFC. You're going to get boxers calling him out. You're going to get him going to the boxers. Crap like that. But you're going to get him doing things like that. I'd love to see a 55 Holloway fight a 55 McGregor. Talk about boxing. I'd love to. That'd be amazing. The question is if he's big enough. He'd have to put some size on.
I don't think he's big enough.
Dana doesn't think he's big enough. He looks big as a featherweight, doesn't he? But he didn't look big as a 55. He would have to probably take some time again. Yeah. But there's fights there that are real interesting. The Poirier fight wasn't, he lost, but he didn't get smashed to bits, did he? The McGregor fight's awesome. A Dan Hooker fight's awesome. Long rangey guys. I just think there's interesting fights from him at 55 if you can increase his size. That's just my opinion. I don't know if it'll happen. I just think he steamrolls everyone else at 45. And it's not as exciting.
Would you say Max is closer to 55 than 35?
Yeah. He's too tall. Yeah, he's tall, isn't he? Yeah. I think he can do 55. He's just a slightly under. He would always have a slight disadvantage against the guys in 55 who could be 70. He's a 45 or he's just about 55. So he needs to put a bit of size on. Because he probably walks around a lot bigger than that. It's just what he fights at.
Yeah.
When the 155s are probably coming into they probably fight on fight day are probably more like 170, aren't they? Yeah. And I just don't think Max is anywhere near that. So it's a time thing. If he decided to do that, he'd have to go away. Yeah. Put some muscle on his frame, and then how that affects his performance, I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting though. I just think there's a future outside the 45 division, if I'm entirely honest. Yeah. And we're at time. Midweek card. So tonight in Australia, it's like midnight. I think tonight it would go on to the second event of this trifecta. We're not going to dwell on it too much because by the time this podcast goes out, it'll have already happened. Yeah. But there are some interesting fights on there. Just some names I'll mention. Umar Nurmagomedov, Khabib's cousin. Yeah. I think he's the second fight in the prelims. Super new to the UFC. Khabib's all high on him. I think is he a 45? I think he's a 45er. Might be smaller. I can't remember. Sure. Yeah,
Khabib's in his corner.
Khabib's in his corner. So that's interesting to see what this next generation of Dagestanis is like. So I'll definitely be keen on seeing that one. I mentioned him last week. Mason Jones, the Cage Warriors champ. His first fight, he's fighting Mike Davis again on the undercard. I think he might be the third fight on the prelims. Tom Breeze, he's headlining the prelims. We've spoken about him before, and it's really a mental game for him, isn't it? Yeah. Looked super impressive last time.
His last fight, if he's anything like his last fight, he'll win it comfortably.
Yeah. Any others you're interested in on there?
Not so much on the prelims, yeah.
Well, just on the card generally, yeah.
Well, we talked about Lazez, didn't we? His co-main. Yep. So he's got the opportunity to become a star. We explained why.
Yeah, he was our one to watch, wasn't he?
Yeah, and obviously in the main event. Kind of, again, they're kind of those guys that, not say that they're not in the Matt Brown Condit mode, but they're always them that have been around. Yeah. They're going to turn up, they're going to be on weight. Yep. They're professional. Yep.
Case has looked a lot better at 170, hasn't he? Because he was running at 155 for a while, then he was way oversized for that. Big guy. Looks a lot better at 170, and both of these guys are trying to keep themselves in the mix, aren't they? And I think the winner of this will get a decent opponent.
Because Magny's last fight, wasn't that when he pieced up Robbie Lawler? When Robbie Lawler was like caught in the headlights.
Was that his last one? It might have been the Lee fight was his last one, but he has beaten.
I thought it was quite recent as Robbie Lawler.
Maybe it was.
I think it was like a main event, and we were very disappointed in Lawler going.
Yeah, right. Didn't. But I can't remember which was his last fight. He's fought a few times, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I know he went to a decision with Lee, and he's beaten Robbie Lawler on a good run, and so is Chiesa. I think it's the Neil Magny toughness, striking, diversity, real diverse striking, good size, rangy. He's just dangerous everywhere against Chiesa's real dangerous ground game.
Yeah, I think Chiesa's the underdog, and I reckon it's going to be a Chiesa submission. I'm going to lean towards Chiesa to pull something out of the bag. I
always like when these analysts the fighters do a bit of analyst work. They seem to understand the game a lot better when they come back and just are able to analyse, mid-fight as they're doing as an analyst. I'd be interested to see what kind of advantage he has. But if I was putting money somewhere, I agree. I think a case of submission. I will also mention on that card our mate Roxanne Modafferi is fighting. I think she's on the main card. Can't remember if she's fighting, but she's on the card. And Lerone Murphy as well. Manchester born and bred. I think he's a United fan.
Is it?
Yeah, I think he's a United fan.
He'll win then, won't he?
Your boy.
Jojo Calderwood, is she on the card?
No, she's on.
She's on the 257. Yeah, fair enough.
But so that's the midweek card. That's happening. It would be Thursday. No, Thursday in Fight Island. Wednesday night, Thursday morning here. Decent card. Lots of up and comers. So if anyone's interested in that type of thing, trying to see the next generation of fighters come through, this is the card. And then that segues us nicely onto 257. The main event of this triple threat Fight Island series, obviously headlined by McGregor Poirier. With it being a pay-per-view, it often happens this, but there's early prelims and there's prelims. They're a bit naff, if I'm entirely honest, but I think when you've got these main event cards on pay-per-view, all the money goes to that main event, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and
McGregor.
To McGregor, pretty much, have you seen him this week? He's parked his yacht outside the arena. It's a different life, isn't it? It's a different world. But before we get to Connor, prelims are fairly weak. The early prelims, there was one that I just caught my eye because Mike Grundy was supposed to be fighting Nick Lentz. Someone in his team got COVID. Heart breaks for him, don't you? You got your chance to be on a pay-per-view McGregor card.
You've seen what's happened with Leon Edwards in the last 12 months.
It's just heartbreaking that things like that happen. But anyway, Nick Lentz stayed on this card. In fact, this fight wasn't supposed to be on the McGregor card, was it? No. I think it was supposed to be on the midweek one or the first one. Nick Lentz stuck around, moved it to this week, and he's actually fighting the guy that beat Grundy in his last fight, Evloev. But I'm interested to watch it because that Evloev was an incredible boxer. He looked really, really good at 45. So again, just one to watch. I think is the best pick of a pretty weak early prelim. On the prelims, I'll mention Khalil Roundtree. Again, entertaining fighter, always good to watch. And Brad Tavares is fine on the prelims as well. But it's not a great prelims. But on the other hand, the main card is stacked, and I think you can't have both. You can't have it all. Can't have it all.
You can't.
The main card is stacked, unreal. Opened by the girls, Marina Rodriguez, Amanda Ribas. Looking forward to this fight. It's a great matchup. I think it's like 7 and 8 ranked. 8 and 10 ranked in that division. They're the future of the division, along with people like Mackenzie Dern are in the mix there. This is really going to... I think the winner of this, moves up into that top 5 and starts to get these bigger fights. But an interesting matchup. I think they're both Brazilian. Is that right? Yeah. Both Brazilian, but both different fighting styles. I think Ribas has got the ground game. Rodriguez, Muay Thai. So interesting to see where the fight takes place. I think I saw an interview today with Ribas, and she's saying she wants to stand and trade and test the striking, but I think she's always got that ground game to fall back on.
Similar to Dern when they say that, I want to get a knockout and such thing. If it's going the wrong way,
you've always got you pull it out your back pocket, don't you? For sure. And I think that's probably the way it's going to go. I think we'll see the first round they'll stand up and I think Rodriguez will try and take her out early. It's whether Ribas can withstand that test of how good a striking is, and then I think as the fight goes on, we'll see it maybe move to the ground, and I think we'll see a Ribas submission win. Mm-hmm. But they're both on. They're coming on different fortunes. I think Ribas is three wins in the last 3. Mm-hmm. She beat Dern, I think.
Yeah, she did. She
beat Dern. Dern's improved significantly since, but she's got a win over Dern, win over Paige Van Zandt, which is not saying a lot. But
bare knuckle.
Yeah. But a lot of people are very high on her, and I think not just because of her skills. I think because of she seems to be the whole package.
Yeah,
looks, personality from Brazil, trying to build a market again there, and can fight.
Yeah,
winner. I think the UFC would love to see her come out of this, and I do think she'll get the win. What do you reckon?
Yeah, 100%. I think she will get the win, but I think it will be a decision. But I think it will be a comfortable second and third round to Ribas, which is sheer output and just work and grind. Yeah. But I'm
just got to watch it. That Rodriguez is massive for that division. She's a big girl.
Yeah.
But I think Ribas.
I actually thought as well that when this fight was announced, I think it should have been Waterson originally. Ribas and Waterson.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Which would have been, that should have been. No, forget McGregor, Poirier. That's main event, baby. That is main event. Yeah. But but at the same time it was Jandiroba and was it Dern or
yes,
yeah, and Ribas obviously beat Dern, and Ribas was ranked higher, I think, but then Ribas ended up getting the one. They were all together 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yeah,
and it seemed to be that Ribas should have got the highest one.
Yeah, right.
When it wasn't, and I was a bit that's kind of you paying kind of Dern more respect there, where she kind of got the high, But anyway,
I think they're trying to build this division out. And I think they're all fairly evenly matched. I think rankings don't speak to too much at that stage.
Yeah.
Next up on that card, Frivola and Azatar. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Azatar looked incredible. I think he's something like 10-0 or 13-0.
13-0. Yeah. Frivola's got one loss, I think.
Yeah. I looked at the records. Azatar was on Fight Island not too long ago.
Yeah.
Smashed that Chaos.
Chaos.
Not Chaos.
No, Karma Worthy.
Karma, that's the one.
Not Karma Worthy.
Karma Worthy, who, tough reputation, smashed him to bits in the first round, looked amazing. Again, you've got another kind of local. He's Moroccan, isn't he? So that Middle Eastern influence, I think he'll be a fan favourite and just looks super dangerous. Frivola, what's his nickname again? Steamroller.
Steamroller.
Yeah. He but doesn't seem to steamroll anyone. I looked at his record. It's lots of decision wins.
Yeah.
Steam cleaner.
Yeah. Steam
mop. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what. Yeah. He's not earning that. That nickname at the minute, but I think they've put in. I think this matchup is smart. That it's it's a tough, durable guy that's going to cause Azatar problems. That Azatar can get the win, which I think they expect that he will.
Yeah.
Is another one that is another name on the trophy cabinet that you can build him on. I just looking at the records and just looking at what they've done, their output. I think you're going to see an Azatar, another steamroller. He'll steamroll the steamroller. I think.
Yeah, I think so as well.
But you just look at the
when you Google
Frivola.
Yeah. When you Google him, you just look at him and you go, he's a fight. He's one of them. He shows up and he's game. Yeah. You can just tell the way he looks.
Yeah. And I hope he's I think he will be. I think he'll be a bit more of a test.
Yeah.
He's not. Maybe it won't be just another first round demolition job.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's a bit of a test there, and almost as I could do with that to put that in his locker as well. If you're going to start progressing to the division, you need to have had the rounds. Yeah. 3 rounds in your bag. I don't see it going that long, but I think it'll be a tougher test.
Yeah. I think it'll be second round. Azatar.
Then we got Jojo. So third from top on the card. Jojo's fighting Jessica Eye. Bit of needle in this one, I think. You don't always see that from Jojo because she's quite softly spoken, isn't she? But I think there's been a bit of needle about the weight. Jessica Eye's missed weight a few times now. It's just funny, but it shows how these divisions aren't that deep because, often if you miss weight like that, if you're one of the blokes, you're not getting main event slots on Connor Mcgregor's undercard, are you? But I really like Jojo. She's coming off the defeat to Jennifer Maia. Took a big gamble.
Which he should have sat at home.
Yeah, you know, and
kept him out.
But I think, you know, props to her, and I think the UFC respect that as well. She didn't just sit out, did she, and wait for the title shot when she could have. She took the fight. Didn't go well for her at all. She was quite meek in that fight, wasn't she? She was she left her arm in for the armbar, and it was done fairly quickly, fairly easily. She's now got something to prove. Bit of needle with Jessica Rai, who's a dangerous in-game opponent. I think this would be a really good fight.
Yeah. I think, in my opinion...
I think
this is the hardest fight to call on the card.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree, yeah.
Because I think they're very similar, in terms of ability, they're more or less the same. They've kind of beat similar people. They've kind of had a similar resume, similar names. I think
Jessica Rai's been in there she had a title shot, hasn't she? She's fought Shevchenko. Maybe 2 or 3 fights ago. Yeah. Lost second round. Finish.
They both fought Calvillo.
Both got Who's not fought Calvillo?
Both fought Chukagian.
Yeah.
I think Jojo lost. I won.
Yep.
Not that you can do that in the.
But you know, and styles make fights, don't they? Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah. It'll be an interesting fight. It's going to come down to who wants this more. I think it's Joe. For me, it's JoJo's last
go.
Not a last go. But if she loses, she's a long way away. And maybe it is a last go at the title run. You know, there's young female fighters coming through these divisions now. JoJo's been almost there. You lose this fight again, you're sliding down those ranks, aren't you? And you're a long way away from Shevchenko. Yeah. I'd love to see her get in there with Shevchenko. I think she can cause her problems, but she's got to get over this final hurdle. She deserves a title shot. She's put her work in. She's just got to get that kind of final victory. And, you know, this could be the one. If she can get a victory here, she might well get that next shot.
And given she's Scottish, she is exactly like the female version of Paul Craig. He's there. He's on the cusp.
Yeah.
Always, you're just there. You've always been there. Yeah. That's where you'll always be. And it's like, just a bit...
Turn her on the right time, isn't it? Don't be overcome by the occasion.
Yeah, don't lose. You're nearly there.
And we have bloody won an occasion being on the, you know, pay-per-view on a McGregor undercard. I hope it doesn't get to her. I hope it builds her. I hope she's able to utilise that energy and put on a good performance.
Yeah. But to be the party pooper, I think Ai's going to win.
Do you?
I think it's going to cost her. The loss to Maya, I think it's going to be lost and then loss. I think
it'll go the other way. I think she'll want to rebound. Okay. I think she'll have looked at that and been like, that was my chance. I can't do that again. And I don't think she's got to worry too as much about the ground game as I think it'll be a bit more of a striking exchange, which will favour her. I think JoJo. Partly with my heart, not my head, but I think I'm going to say JoJo. Co-main. What a fight. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hooker Chandler. Lots to talk about this week. And I've gone back and forth with it. I remember when we first made that fight, I was a bit like, it's not the one I wanted.
Not Chandler Bing, for anyone that doesn't watch UFC. Michael Chandler.
Michael Chandler. So I guess for context, for anyone who's interested, Michael Chandler, former Bellator champ for a long time. Been in Bellator his entire career. Not often we see this, is it? Where they come from Bellator, having been a champ, now get the chance in the UFC.
Yeah. You normally go the other way.
Yeah, you normally finish your career in Bellator. He's come the other way.
20 years later.
Yeah. But that's where the intrigue and the question lies. We know he's an incredible wrestler, big punching power, but can he hang with the big boys in the UFC? We're about to find out. And I think the more I've thought about it, the more I think Dan Hooker is a great welcome, a great test. I think it's gonna be a fantastic fight. They've got really opposing styles. It's who can put the game plan to work on the day. I think the big overriding question is Michael Chandler, can he take Hooker down, hold him down? He's the Division 1 All-American, All-State, whatever you want to call it, wrestler. Dan Hooker's notoriously difficult to take down, even harder to hold down. But that's surely the path to victory if you're Michael Chandler, right? You're not aiming to stand and trade with Hooker.
No.
You've got to take him down to win, right?
Absolutely. I think Chandler does win.
Do you? See, I don't. I'm a big Hooker fan. Yeah. I really like Dan Hooker. I think if you're Michael Chandler, if you've watched any footage of Dan Hooker, he's ridiculously hard to take out.
Yeah.
I would be very surprised if he knocked Dan Hooker out. He's taken the biggest shots. Poirier, he was like a bloody zombie and he kept going forward against Edson Barbosa. I don't think you can take him out with punches. And I think the path to victory for, like I've said, for Chandler is to take him down and hold him down, ground and pound. But I think Hooker will be able to get up. And if I was Hooker, you're priming those knees for any of those takedowns. I think early doors, you're gonna see him swing those knees out so that Chandler knows every time he comes in on those for a double leg, he's getting hit with a knee. I think Hooker's really hungry. I think he really wants the recognition that to be in this. The chances are for both of them. I think it's Hooker's time. I think he's been through the ringer, and I think he'll get the victory.
Has he been motivated by Khabib's approach of
possibly?
Show me something.
You know what's? I was going to say this after, but I can address it now. What's really interesting me about the lightweight division, and especially in that top 5, top 8 in that division, it's not like you see in like bantamweights or whatever, where it's a lot of young, up and coming guys who constantly going at each other, calling each other out. There's lots of banter back and forth, lots of needle. The lightweight division now is arguably the most stacked, most talented, the most skillful division in the UFC, and they all blow smoke each other's ass.
Yeah,
it's mad. But they're in the position where they're all, they're maturer. It's an average age of early 30s division. They're in the primes. They've done the thing where they've called each other all sorts and had needle at press conferences and all that, wound each other up. Now they're all full of respect, and I think a lot of that is due to McGregor. I think they follow his lead. I think he's not coming in there and being the antagonist that he was once. He's now, saying there's going to be blood but not bad blood. Yeah. He's giving respect to, Poirier's a great fighter. Yeah.
Same with Cowboy.
Same with Cowboy. I think people follow his lead. When people are asking about Connor now, they're not doing the thing where they wind him up and be like, oh, he's not good enough, I call him out. They're all saying, he's the most skillful one in the division. I'm honoured to be on his card. I'd love to fight him. They've all said the same thing. Chandler said it. Hooker's said it.
Yep.
I won't be surprised if Charles Oliveira is saying it. Poirier's being respectful because of the same reason. It's mad. The only one who's mad in that division now is Tony Ferguson, who's still kind of the old school, just off his head. Yeah. But I just thought it was really interesting when you watch everybody's interviews. No one's giving each other shit. They all realise we're in this tournament. We're in this makeshift Nick Pete tournament, and we don't have to sell it in that way. Everybody knows how good we are.
Every single one of us can be a champion.
Every single one of us is champ material. Yeah, and it's actually fantastic. There's a press conference tomorrow, isn't there? Yeah. With the 4 of them.
Well, that's when we'll see. Yeah. When they're in the same room, then we'll see.
But again, I don't think you can. There might be a bit of needle and banter there. I think, especially from Hooker. I think Hooker's game for a bit of banter, but he's not disrespectful. No. He's never going to say, "I'm going to go in there and smash Connor to bits." I just don't think you're going to get it from any of them. They know the power that Connor has.
Yeah.
They want to show it. They realise now the way to get a fight with Connor is to respect him. To say, I think he's the most skillful. I want to test myself against him. Because that's what Connor wants to do.
I.e. Diego Sanchez.
You're exactly right. And it's just so different to when you look at the bantamweight division, they all just call each other names. And it's like, but it's because they're the early 20s fighters on the way up. The lightweights don't have to do that anymore. It's awesome. I really like it. And to go back to Hooker Chandler, I just think that it's the winner of this probably gets the winner of McGregor Poirier potentially, or from the other side of the bracket, Gaethje, whoever he fights, RDA. They're 1 or 2 fights away from a title shot. If you go out here and you give McGregor his props, but you're also calling him out, you're next in line, aren't you? And I think it's Hooker's turn. I think everyone else has had a go at the top. I think it's Hooker's turn. I think he'll get the win.
I'll go Chandler.
Awesome.
I think Chandler.
And I guess to finish off, we touch on the main event. It's huge, isn't it? There's a difference. There's a different vibe around everything in the sport when McGregor comes back and fights. And I know that's such a cliche thing to say, and he's with one man, and you do get the negative press over the years with it, but everybody loves him because he brings eyes to the sport. If you're in the media, if you work in the stadium, he brings you work. And he brings eyes and he brings money, and everyone loves him for that. He's different. He's bloody. I watched Embedded this morning. He arrived on Fire Island in those mad pants. Yeah. And it's just a show, isn't it? I said before, he's got pictures of him on his yacht with the stadium in the background, and it's a different world. But to me, he seems like the most focused, the most kind of zen version of him he's ever been, and that's a dangerous Connor for me.
It's the most scary Connor.
It's a scary Connor, isn't it? You look at him in those interviews and just the way that he answers and the way that he's so self-assured, so self-confident. He's like a like a mafia leader, he's like the Godfather. He's just like this aura about him.
That chill, that he knows.
The bloody serial killer,
they can mess you up.
Bad. Yeah.
And he knows it.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't do anything to him.
Yeah.
You don't have to move.
Yeah.
And he knows. You sat off at the table, you've got all his henchmen, and you're playing poker, and you know he's got the better hand.
Yeah.
And even if you don't think he's got the better hand, you can't call him out because he'll probably he'll have you.
It's mad. It's mad. What? Okay. If you're looking at it from Poirier's perspective, what does Poirier have to do? How does Poirier win this fight? Connor said he's going to knock him out in 60 seconds. What are you doing if you're Poirier?
The only thing that Poirier can do is rewatch both Diaz fights and just bring it to him. I don't think that's the only way. All he can do is fight fire with fire, but I don't necessarily think... I don't know if he can hold up to that, but I just don't... I think you're not going to submit him.
No.
You're not going to keep him on the ground.
I don't think so.
All you have to do... He's got power, so you have to just... You have to do something. You have to swat. You can't... He's got to look at Max Holloway, and you've got to be throwing 3, 4 at a time and move. Because if you're looking for that one shot each time, Connor's doing the exact same, and it's going to be a short night.
There's no way he stands at range.
So you have to come at him, and you've got to throw everything in bunches, punches in bunches, and you've got to go, and you've got to bring the war, and you've got to put him on the back foot, as many don't seem to do with Connor. Like Khabib did, just put him on the defensive. The only way to beat Connor is put him on the defensive. Yeah. Otherwise, you're done.
Yeah, you look at Connor and we don't know. Poirier is an incredible athlete, incredible fighter, tough, durable, way better at this weight. I don't think we can compare it to the first fight. Different fight. Yeah. Both different fighters. But we don't know what state McGregor's in. We still don't know how good he is because he's been away for so long. Training seems to be this focused killer mindset. He was in there for 40 seconds against Cowboy and you just steamrolled him. Steamrolled, the word of the podcast. Steamrolled him. Yeah. And he steamrolled Cowboy. So we don't know how good. I don't imagine it's going to be a 40-second knockout. To answer my own question, Poirier, the only range I think he can win this fight in is nose to nose. Yeah. He's got to be in Connor's face. That's where his most effective boxing is. It's that real close range, forehead to forehead, flurries of punches like you said. He's probably gonna have to back Connor up to the cage and pummel him, slow him down. I don't think you knock him out there, but if you can win later rounds by doing that. If you slow Connor down. I don't see how Poirier wins, to be honest with you. When I think about the fight, I'm not so sure that the 60-second thing that Connor's said, I don't know what he's planning to do. He started fast against Cowboy, didn't he? Ran over him through that whopping left hand, didn't he? Straight away. Missed, but it set up the sequence for the finish. I don't know if he's planning that. I don't know if he's trying to get in his head. He's trying to throw him off. I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're more like, and I think someone else has said this week, we're more likely going to see the Eddie Alvarez fight. I think Poirier is not going to be able to get within McGregor's range. He's going to put a striking masterclass on. I think he's just going to pick him off with that left hand. You'll see Poirier get frustrated. I think that he can't get to McGregor. He'll be throwing those bombs in and McGregor won't be there. And I think you might see late first, early second, he takes him out, I think, with that left hand. I just think his movement is far superior. It's what I think, but I don't know that. Yeah. I don't know that. Yeah. We have to see him go further through the fight to see where McGregor's at. No idea. But that's what I envisage in my head. I envisage Eddie Alvarez style performance, a striking masterclass. So to Poirier to stop that, I think Dan Hardy called it out with the leg kicks. take that front leg out, you take Connor's left-hand power out. But the more you engage to throw that leg, you've got to be in and out. You've got to be real quick, and we know Connor's quick. You've got to be in, hit that leg, get out of range. Because if you step in to hit the leg, crack, left hand, southpaw. It's really, for me, it's real tough to see a way that Poirier wins this fight.
I agree.
I've
got something. I've got in the back of my mind. I think Connor's got something up his sleeve, as in like a spectacular. So, for example, something that you wouldn't necessarily envisage with Connor is I can see him, come out the blocks, look as zen and calm as ever, i.e. Conor Aldo. That type of words, tap, that, before he did that punch at the same time, that word that he's just feeling him out.
Fine range.
Fine range. And I've got a feeling he's got some sort of spinning kick or something, because he caught Cowboy with a head kick.
Yeah.
I think he's got something, some mad. I know he loves that spin where he kind of.
He's pulled it before.
He's got some sort of.
He usually uses it as a teep to the body, doesn't he? He gets the midsection and takes the wind out of you.
But I've got something. If it's something that we've not seen, is in like he looks zen, he looks calm, he's feeling him out, and then it's some sort of Masvidal instant thing that he does that will.
And do you think has he seen a gap? Has he seen something in Poirier? I can hit him with this exact thing, and I will get you.
I think he'll kind of do something that he knows will make him move a certain way. There'll be some. Again, I'm making this, some sort of like spinning kick or something that's spectacular that catches Poirier, that stumbles him, and then it's like Cowboy. He's just on him, bang, bang, bang. Ref's done.
I can completely see that. Yeah,
I think there's a tool in his locker that he keeps in the back of his mind, going, I know I can land this
shot,
and he's going, watch that left, watch them hands, and just as he's processing, something just goes.
It just doesn't see it coming. Normally when you lay the seed on you, I'm not about 60 seconds, it's usually just to throw people off. I don't think McGregor says wayward comments. When you hear him speak.
When Mystic Mac predicts.
Yeah. But when he speaks truth, doesn't he? He speaks his truth,
it's that mindset.
What he actually believes. I wouldn't say I'm not out in 60 seconds if I didn't think I was going to do it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't just say, because he's not the type, is he, just to be like, I was just saying that at the beginning of the fight, just throw you off. He means it, and that what that does then is put Poirier on the back foot straight, because he's thinking, he knows that as well. He knows McGregor's not messing around. If he says 60 seconds, he's got something for me in 60 seconds. So Poirier starts the fight, and you're a bit like, I don't want to fucking move here because it's coming from somewhere, and it's coming from somewhere,
I know.
And you then tentative, but maybe that it brings your guard up in a certain way. McGregor knows what you're gonna do. He's getting in your head before you've even done it, and he's setting. You're right. He's setting it up. He's setting the shot up by making that comment.
By looking calm, because I think I think when you come out, which I'm going to knock you out in 60 seconds, you're going to be ready for him to run at you, and he's coming at me. But I think we're going to see a double bluff. So I've said this comment. I'm going to knock you out in 60 seconds. I'm going to start quick. So then they engage, they start the fight, and he's looking zen, he's looking calm, he's walking to him, he's
slow
thinking
movement,
him out, and then Poirier goes, it was a bluff.
Yeah, right.
It's not going to be 60 seconds, and just how this is processing and Connor's working him out, checking it, and then he'll just go, it's now, and he'll do something that we go, it was 60 seconds all along. Right? I think that so Connor's that elite in his mindset that if he knocked out Poirier in 61 seconds, that would feel like a loss to Conor.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. If he says 60 seconds, that's exactly what he's... It's exactly what he's going for. So that's how you think the fight plays out. You think it's done. You think it's done early?
Yes.
You would put money on...
I think it's within 60.
Within 60 seconds. Oh, it would be unreal. I do think we might get one of those moments, however it happens, whether it's a masterclass of striking within the first 1 and 2 rounds or this mad thing. I do think by the end of that fight, we'll both be sat there just saying, wow.
Yeah.
Just incredible. And then we're all baying for the Khabib fight.
Yeah.
I think that's how this ends.
And then he just grabs the mic and goes, was that spectacular enough, you Dagestani rat?
Yeah. That's exactly how that ends.
Scurry away.
Yeah.
And then
he calls for that fight again.
And that's why I kind of want that to, as much as I like Poirier, I want that to happen. I want that to play out as in my mind.
Yeah, it has to be spectacular. He said it.
Then if Poirier wins, I'm like, we're never gonna get the rematch.
Yeah. Yeah, no, if Poirier wins, we ain't getting that anytime soon. But it's a different type of event when the anticipation building up to a Conor fight is incredible. And I can't wait to see what he's going to bring because it's very much unknown, isn't it?
Yeah. You
believe him when he says it's spectacular and he's a different level.
Yeah.
I just want to see it. Yeah.
So anyone that does watch the UFC, anyone that doesn't watch the UFC but will tune into a Conor fight, my advice is if Bruce Buffer is announcing them and they say their names and they're about to touch gloves and all that, don't go to the toilet. Don't go to the bar. Don't go make a brew.
No.
Don't be on your phone. Don't have any distractions. Yeah. Because it could be very quick, but it might not be quick, but it could start quick enough where you'll see some.
We know Conor does his best work early
stuff.
doors, don't we?
Yes.
So those first 2 rounds is where Conor's going to be the best version of himself.
Yeah.
I don't think it goes out at 2. I hope you're right, and it's within that 60 seconds. I don't think it goes past 2.
Spectacular.
Yeah. Unreal. Well, anyway, we'll call it with that one. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, hit like, hit subscribe, leave us a comment. Tell us you disagree with us. Tell us we're talking wham.
Yeah.
We know we are.
Yeah. Tell us your prediction even.
Yeah, I'd love to see what people think as well because it's going to be an unreal matchup.
Poirier fans, we want to hear from you.
Yeah, for sure.
If anyone thinks Poirier's got a sniff or a chance,
sell it to me.
Yeah.
Epic. Well, we'll be in the Wick. If anyone wants to come to the Wick, we'll be in the Wick in Elston Wick from lunchtime on Sunday to watch this all go down. Happy days. Cheers, Grant.
Cheers, Matt.